We're on.
Yeah, we're on.
There's a lot of AI bots. I mean, I've almost given my social security to a few of them. You know, they're good.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That was pretty shot.
Am I?
You're good, yeah.
Okay. Where you at, ball? Woo! Yeah, buddy.
Enough. Sounded great. Looked great.
Green adjacent. The 9th largest earthquake in history hit Chile, where I was living.
Oh my God.
You're better together than separate, so.
All right, Pete. Introduce yourself to the people.
Happy to. Pete Grimmer, head of sponsors coverage and origination at Cook M&A.
But tell me about Cook. What's y'all's like spot in the market and what's your role there?
So Cook M&A, we've been around for 30 years, 100% buy side. We do nothing else besides partner at the hip with private equity held businesses, corporate acquirers, strategics, to be a true extension of their team and be their sourcing and origination engine.
So finding deals, basically.
Finding deals. You know, our bread and butter is unmarketed proprietary deals. So we know that these owners don't have a for sale sign in the yard, and so we take a lot of time to make sure that we're working the right projects. Super selective. We certainly turn down more proactive engagements than we take, because we know the message has to be compelling and it has to make sense. For a deal to work, it's got to work for everybody. And so on the sponsors coverage side, and that was the role I was hired for 7 years ago. I've been in private equity for 10 plus years, knew there was a real need. There's a scarcity of deals out there, not a scarcity of capital, and so was excited to jump on. It was a new position for Cook, and really my role initially was to crank the volume, spread the good word.
Yeah. When you're saying like generating new opportunities, pick up the volume, it's like finding new people who are new firms that want to hire y'all to go.
Yeah, so there's 4,500 private equity groups in North America, and they're great at execution. We're great at teeing them up. They're great at knocking them down. We definitely lean more towards thematic investors. So you need to have an angle. You need to have a story, really strong value proposition for these business owners. And then we pair that with our research team is definitely and functions a differentiator. Before any project, even if we have relevant experience, we're looking at the opportunity through their lens, and we're curating market research to understand the opportunity set. It's a numbers game to a certain extent, so we want to make sure that there's acquisition candidates that look, feel like the type of businesses they want to acquire. And so if that all makes sense, right buyer, fragmented industry with companies of the right size and scale and capabilities, that's the formula for success.
What you're looking for.
And how we define that is closing proprietary deals that align with their values, their strategy within 6 to 12 months. So we're a deal shop. We're in it to close deals, and so that's part of the sponsors coverage side. My role is to sell Cook for sure, but even more so for them to sell themselves. And so it's both platforms and add-ons. So the bar for platforms, if it's a new investment, new industry, we want to make sure that they have a track record of success. They have an operating executive. They have a compelling proposition to these owners, because they certainly have a ton of options and they're getting a ton of calls. And then about 3.5 years ago, I was asked to take over managing the origination team. The only reason I decided to do that was there was a situation probably 1.5 years into my tenure at Cook where finally we're breaking in and working with top private equity groups, but we were a small team at the time, and we didn't have the capacity. And so they're like, "Oh, we can't take these projects." And I'm like, "Yeah, we can. I'll work them." So I ended up working the origination and took the lead. And my background's in sales, and I've always sold to owners and executives, and I loved it. And so when they asked me kind of 1.5 years after that, I felt like I could be value add to the team, and so I decided to kind of be in 2 seats. And we elevated the team, and we decided to change the structure right away, and we have a really senior origination team, but wanted to supplement some of the outreach efforts and really incentivize, you know, some more junior folks to learn the ropes, contribute to the business while learning the business. And so we ended up hiring some associates and VP levels just to add more firepower on every project.
Yeah. And that is, so, you know, compared to sponsored coverage, which is we're covering and finding and sourcing new buyers basically who are saying, go find us deals. Origination, you're defining that as going and actually finding the deal.
So the origination team, their role is to execute on the list. So they're quarterbacking the project. So we're representing our clients in the market.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they are unearthing and catalyzing these proprietary opportunities. You know, we find the right ownership contacts, we profile them out. Every company's on there for a list, so they have total confidence when they're reaching out to these target companies to say, hey, we know you, great reputation,
right.
Feel like it makes a lot of sense to combine forces in some capacity, and the goal of the first call is to get the second call. So, you know, that's where the opportunity to really sell them and open their eyes to the value that our client can bring and private equity generally. And that's the fun part. You know, you'll get an owner that says, hey, I've got 5 minutes for you. Right. And then you can't get them off the phone an hour and a half later. Yeah. You're like, actually, I got a job. And right. So they're the ones really quarterbacking the project. You know, we got a great team, and we're out there and from everything from A to Z. So finding the companies to finding the ownership contacts, getting in front of them. We're hitting them out all angles, but it's a heavy phone work. Like, we want to have conversations with these owners because they think of it very binary, all or nothing, from my experience. And so we're saying, hey, no, the value's with you and your team. We don't want to disrupt that by any means, but we see a great opportunity. You're at an inflection point. So we're after the owners that, you know, are in their 40s, they're hungry, they're entrepreneurial.
Want to roll.
Yeah, we're going to unearth and we're going to tee up the 75-year-old that doesn't have kids in the business and is looking for a transition. It doesn't have a succession plan, but right. We want to tap into the growth mindset of these younger owners. Say, hey, like, we know you're growing, but we can accelerate your plans. Yeah. And this is our thesis. This is why we think it makes a lot of sense. So we're super targeted, and then, you know, we qualify, make sure it checks all the boxes, make sure it's actionable, and then, you know, we present that to our clients, and then we're teeing up introductory exploratory calls with them, on-site meetings, NDA, you know, initial request lists, really helping them every step of the way. Our interests are completely aligned, and our goal is to have everything we need, put our clients in a great position to have multiple opportunities that they're sequencing at once, but getting these companies under a letter of intent, and then
to go build a platform and do a bunch of add-ons and or whatever the strategy
is. It's add-ons and platforms, and
so you're like helping. I mean, they come to you with the thesis, you're executing and building and strategy.
Exactly. They come to us, you know, and sometimes it starts with just, hey, you know, we like this sector, feel like there's some good tailwinds, but not sure what the universe is, and, you know, that's what we're built to do. And so we'll come back and say, hey, the TAM is this, you know, based off the criteria, the size, capabilities. You know, there's 98 companies that fit that bill.
Oh,
and so at that point, you know, then we'll go all in, and we're only working exclusively with our clients, which is important. So it's not air cover. We're very targeted. We know the industry down cold. We're calling them to position a specific opportunity with our client. So really positioning our client as the one and only option, really a differentiated partner in the market. And that's why it's so important that we're working with growth investors and groups that, you know, are not looking to disrupt things. They're looking to build something differentiated and special in the industry. Right. And that's what's fun, getting these owners excited and, you know, working with them. And our goal is to drive the best outcomes for everybody. You know, at the heart of what we do is we're great at making meaningful connections that others can't, and that lead to great outcomes. And so that's the fun part, is these owners, you know, we're changing lives and their generational wealth, and they're, you know, better together than separate. And so
well, I'm thinking too, like, from the market right now, like, what are people getting interested in? Like, what are you seeing people actually trying to chase?
It's been interesting with the tariffs, some of the macroeconomic stuff. You know, it's, people are still busy, but really narrowed their focus. So, you know, a couple themes that we're seeing. One is with AI and, you know, the data centers. You know, that's been a big theme.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, power. We've seen a huge uptick with projects. in and around kind of the data center craziness.
Yeah.
The other thing is on the services side. So, AI is not going to disrupt HVAC and roofing and exterior facility services, commercial landscaping, and a lot of these, multi-billion-dollar funds, they're all moving down market. They have these micro fund strategies, and they're looking to find fragmented industries and consolidate, an industry, and a lot of those industries are around, services, residential, commercial. AI is interesting, and everyone's trying to figure it out, us included. But I think on the investing side, a lot of these groups are steering away from where AI is going to disrupt an industry, and so that's where a lot of these kind of services, industries, they're never going away. But you don't know how it's going to impact certain industries, and so. That's one side of AI, certainly, and then
so that's like the protect the downside. Let's find something just kind of predictable that isn't going to be completely wiped out.
Totally. Like, I mean, these groups are not thinking just their hold period of 5 and 7 years, but they need to understand when they are going to look to exit, is that going to continue to be
a theme for the next buyer
on the upswing, and in terms of how we're leveraging AI or where we're seeing it impact is there's a lot of AI bots. I mean, I've almost given my social security to a few of them. They're good. And so these owners are getting hit up a ton, and I wasn't sure when, how we leverage it. On the research side, it's a little bit more clear. Like every company's on there for a reason, and it's a manual process, but AI has been really helpful for us. We've leveraged and created an AI tool that's really kind of an aggregator that what would take us 8 days takes us 8 minutes.
Oh wow.
And so we're just trying to get to deals as fast as we can, and so that's been super helpful. And then I was exploring different options. I wasn't really sure how it would help on the origination side, but we certainly use ChatGPT and other tools to understand the strategic fit. When we are getting diligence materials back, we plug it in, and it'll tell us the EBITDA and what are the valuation ranges, but we're really trying to prioritize your target companies. And so we started working with a third party that is great at finding contacts. We have the contacts, but really profiling out of like, hey, here's the top 10. Here are these companies that you guys should prioritize because of X, Y, and Z. And so it's been really helpful. And
that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, there's critical moments when you get an owner on the phone where if you don't know what you're talking about or why there's synergies and why there's a strategic fit, they're not going to take that call. And so pairing that with our research, our clients always giving us commentary and ranking the targets, and then adding another data point of, hey, based off these 200 different data points and this YouTube video of this owner, here's something that you want to highlight when you're talking with an owner. They're looking to expand in this geography. So are we. Okay, let's do it together. And so
that's a no-brainer kind of, or like from a use case perspective.
It's super helpful. I mean, we're trying to make those connections, and just again, it's just giving us more confidence when we talk with an owner. Like, you need to take this call. Here's why.
What is your background, your professional background? How'd you find your way into the finance universe?
I never thought I'd be doing this. I was a hospitality business major at Michigan State. So they have a top program there. They require you to do 2 internships. So I worked at a hotel in Aspen. Which is great. And then worked at a hotel in Chicago. But when I graduated 2009, there was just no jobs. I was getting offers to be the night manager at like a Holiday Inn outside of Indianapolis. I'm like, man, I went to college for this? I always wanted to travel. My parents, big proponents of it. And so I found this postgraduate study abroad program. And I lived in South America for about 7 months, and then traveled for a few months. And finally my parents were like, all right, time to...
Doing school?
It was an internship. I was working at a winery for like 2 weeks, and actually the 9th largest earthquake in history hit Chile, where I was living.
Oh my God.
And so I didn't have internet for weeks.
Are you serious?
Realized how bad my Spanish was. I went to a cafe finally. I was like, Tienes internet, and they went outside and looked decided like, oh, internet. But yeah, I ended up like looking at Facebook. My sister's like, pray for my brother Peter and all this. And so anyway, I was part of that whole time, having a great time. But I was giving tours at this winery in Casablanca Valley in English, and then I stopped giving tours. There's so much damage, but they kept the production going. So I literally was just like grunts, just cutting grapes, and had no clue what I was doing, drinking wine all day, and I was taking classes, but that was pretty secondary to just meeting friends and having fun. But I traveled all the way down to Patagonia, all the way through Argentina anyway. So I finally, after about 9-10 months, came back, and just like everybody from good old Detroit City, moved right to Chicago where the jobs are. And so I was just living with my sisters, couch surfing, and then decided I wanted to get into sales. And so I worked at a couple pretty known sales companies that had great sales training programs, and it's just a good fit. But I ended up getting recruited over to an Australian technology company. And they're market leaders in Asia Pacific, but they didn't really have a presence in the US. So built out a team. It was there about 7 years, but we were selling data rooms and deal execution software, and that's how I
into the M&A space.
Yeah, so I built a huge network, wine and dining these analysts and associates, and giving them Beyonce tickets to use a data room and all that. But I loved it, so I crossed paths with Sven, and he's a Michigan State Sparty like myself, and just we hit it off, and I was coming in with a big network, and thought I could leverage this, and it's easy to sell because there's a need. Yeah, and so came on, and all the analysts and associates, and I'm getting older now, at private equity groups, and I was in there and cranking it up, and the rest is history.
Was it hard transitioning in? I feel like it's very similar to what you're probably doing. So like,
I was selling technology, and so I think the biggest thing was like, I was selling too hard, and and we had a great reputation. We were quiet in the market, like even today, like we don't market our deals. We really want to play unsung hero, and so we had a great client list, but a lot of groups didn't know about us, like kind of a secret out in the market. And so it took a good kind of 6 months. I was traveling every week. I would just find the top buy and build shops, and active private equity groups, and fly to Minneapolis, fly to Houston, fly to New York, fly to Boston.
Yeah.
Then I just got hooked up with the heavy hitters, and it's been awesome. I mean, I would say at this point, like probably half of our clients come directly from meetings we've had there. So it took a while to kind of figure out the ropes. It was totally new for me, but once you get in, they see the value, and then it's just hard to get the first one. Then we're working with multiple portfolio companies.
Yeah,
all that.
balls rolling.
And it's like now today, the only reason I could be in these two seats is it's more referral based. So we, these guys, all these groups know each other, and they, will say, hey, you Cook did a great job, and I'm constantly getting referrals, which is great, super appreciated, and it's really just trying to pick our spots and all that.